Chosen one, what if I told you that every insult aimed at you was a silent contract signing their own downfall? They never wanted you to know this, but divine protection never misses a case. I see how they laughed at your quiet confidence, misreading your silence for consent, mistaking your pause for powerlessness. You felt the pangs of being mocked by those who thought they held your fate in their hands, only to discover that what they hurled at you was the very blade that would turn against them. You are not imagining the shift under your feet. The unspoken truth is breaking through the facade of arrogance that once seemed impenetrable. The hidden narrative of your journey is now unfolding, and what they thought was your weakness is about to become their defeat. If this message already speaks to your soul, subscribe, like this video, and comment 77 below. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand why their mockery was never harmless and how their collapse will serve as a testament to the power that resides within you. The setup of arrogance against the protected. They gathered in hushed circles, trading glances that dripped with superiority, convinced that your quiet presence was the perfect target for their scorn. Perhaps you felt their eyes on you, sizing you up as someone they could belittle without consequence. Laughing when your words faltered, mocking your humility as though it were a weakness they could exploit. You sat in boardrooms and break rooms, in family gatherings and online comment threads, while they caricatured your faith, your convictions, your dreams. You wondered if speaking up would only feed their fire, and so you chose silence, hiding behind the veneer of "I don't care." But that very stillness, so easily mistaken for submission, was the linchpin of their own undoing. You are not invisible. You are on the stage of a greater drama, and their arrogance has written them the lead role in a tragedy they never intended to star in. Yet in that moment of betrayal, when their laughter echoed like a hammer against your spirit, you felt a fracture within yourself. You questioned your worth, asking if perhaps they saw something you did not, some hidden defect, some fatal flaw. The sting of rejection is not easily soothed, and you have known nights where tears blurred the lines between faith and despair. You have replayed their jeers in your mind, each insult a mantra of self-doubt that echoed down dark corridors of not enough. It felt as though your purpose was unraveling, like a finely woven tapestry rendered to tangled threads. In those hours, you stood at the crossroads of doubt, to reclaim your voice and risk more humiliation, or to remain silent and let their mockery define you. You chose the latter, believing that silence would spare you further pain. But in truth, it was the beginning of a much grander design. What they perceived as defeat was, in fact, divine strategy. Their arrogance was the crucible meant to refine your resolve, a spiritual workout to strengthen muscles they never knew you possessed. Consider the tale of Jehoshaphat in 2 Chronicles 20 verses 1 to 30, who, when faced with overwhelming armies, stood silent before God, allowing faith rather than force to chart the course of victory. In the same way, your quiet faith was never weakness, it was preparation. Every moment their arrogance pressed upon you, you were forging patience, perseverance, and an unshakable trust that transcended human understanding. This period of seeming surrender was in truth a divine calibration, adjusting your spirit to frequencies they could not detect. Now, notice how the terrain of your life is subtly shifting. Doors once sealed are trembling on their hinges. Conversations that excluded you are now punctuated by invitations you did not request. Opportunities that never crossed your path are materializing when you least expect them. An email ping at midnight, an unexpected referral, a chance encounter with someone who holds the key to your next breakthrough. Internally, too, you are awake to a new clarity. No longer do you feel the heaviness of their contempt when it passes over you. You sense an internal alignment, as though invisible gears have locked into place, propelling you forward on tracks set before time began. The subtle synchronicities and the sudden accelerations you experience are not coincidences but signatures of divine timing, orchestrating your rise in a way that is undeniable. Behind the scenes, spiritual forces are busily dismantling the foundations of those who believed they controlled your narrative. While they revel in the illusion of power, securing envy, spreading rumors, drawing lines in social sands, higher laws are at work. Covenants woven into eternity are snapping shut around them, cutting off their supply of influence and disarming their schemes with surgical precision. This isn't retribution born of anger. It is elevation born of purpose. The same Greek word used in Philippians 2 verse 13 to describe God working in you both to will and to work for his good pleasure is at work in their spheres, turning every malicious plan into a stepping stone for your destiny. But this transformation cannot remain abstract or observed from afar. You must step into it fully. It is easy to watch the collapse of their arrogance and feel vindicated from a distance, believing that your role is simply that of a spectator. Yet true alignment demands that you embrace this shift as your own, embodying the confidence and authority that your silent preparation has earned. Release the hesitations that whisper, "I'm unworthy," or "I'm not ready." That voice is the last echo of their mocking skepticism. In its place, cultivate an inner chorus that proclaims your sovereignty, your divine appointment, and your unbreakable purpose. Know that stepping into this empowerment will not be accomplished by louder words, but by deeper faith and unwavering action. Now is the moment to claim your calling with intention. Stand in environments that once intimidated you, not as a plea for acceptance, but as a declaration of your presence. Let your quiet confidence be the rebuke to their arrogance. Deepen your spiritual practice, prayer, meditation, study, so that your alignment with the divine becomes the compass for every choice you make. Invest in relationships that honor your emerging authority, those who recognize that your silence was never absence but patience. Mentor those who look to you now with the same leadership they once denied you. Trust the divine flow, act on the promptings that stir your spirit, and speak boldly when the moment aligns with your purpose. They thought they could script your downfall with their hubris, but now their story unravels beneath the weight of their own pride. In their confusion, do not gloat or gash wounds where you have already been healed. Instead, move forward in the dignity of one whose future has been written by a power far greater than any mocker's malice. Your journey stands as a testament. Arrogance against the protected only amplifies divine protection. Your rise is a message not just to them, but to all who have ever been underestimated. Claim your throne in the quiet confidence that sparked their collapse, and watch how your life becomes the living proof of an unseen covenant fulfilled. Comment empowered if this resonates with the truth emerging within you. And if you feel called to go even deeper, there's a sacred space reserved for our community, a private room where you receive full prophetic messages daily. Join our private membership through the link in the description and walk this path with us. The silent protection of chosen ones. They have shouted your failures from rooftops, believing that their laughter would strip you of confidence and leave you exposed. Yet, time and again, you rise from the ashes of their mockery with unbroken spirit. That is because there is a silent army at your back, a divine protective force that neither boasts nor demands recognition. When you walked through the valley of humiliation, you did not walk alone. Invisible hands gently guided your steps, turning every intended trap into a stepping stone. This is the essence of your silent protection. A shield so quiet it cannot be heard over the clamor of criticism, yet so impenetrable that no arrow of scorn, no blow of betrayal, and no whispered rumor has pierced it. You may not see the angelic hosts or sense the exact moment their favor intercepts an assault, but the outcome is undeniable. You endure, you grow, and you emerge stronger. In a world that prizes noise and fanfare, your greatest strength lies in the hush of divine guardianship. At times, the cruelty of others felt too heavy to bear. You remember nights when their words played on a loop in your mind, each syllable digging into your self-worth like cold metal. You questioned whether your dreams were too lofty, your gifts too bright, your calling too audacious for the world to tolerate. It stung particularly when people you trusted, the colleagues who should have supported you, the friends who should have uplifted you, the family members who should have held space for your growth, turned their backs or offered half-hearted condolences. You thought you would crack, that your vision would shatter under the weight of their doubt. But each morning you found yourself still standing, the embers of hope refusing to die. You began to sense that something greater than human loyalty was sustaining you, something rooted in purpose rather than popularity. The moment your protection shifted from mystery to revelation came when you realized that every setback was, in fact, a secret blessing. The doors that slammed in your face were not permanent blockades, but portals guiding you toward unseen corridors of opportunity. This divine orchestration mirrors the lesser-known account of Ehud in Judges 3 verse 15, where God empowered a left-handed judge to deliver Israel from Moabite oppression, an unlikely hero chosen from obscurity to fulfill a critical mission. Just as Ehud's unique strengths were hidden until his moment of divine commissioning, your own most precious assets were being honed in the quietness of your trials. That is when you understood what looked like abandonment was truly a careful strategy, weaving a network of protection around your destiny, unseen by human eyes but clear to the one who designed every detail of your awakening. Now, pay attention to how subtle yet profound the changes around you have become. Perhaps a former adversary suddenly offers an olive branch, or a resource you thought irretrievably lost reappears in your life at precisely the right time. Maybe you find your spirit unusually calm during chaos, your intuition alarmingly accurate about which paths to pursue, and your resilience pleasantly surprising even to you. These signs of breakthrough are not random coincidences but markers of divine timing aligning with your readiness. You might notice that synchronous numbers appear on clocks at pivotal moments, or that particular songs echo messages you had been praying for. In these small but potent moments, the veil between your inner world and divine orchestration thins, revealing that an invisible hand is meticulously positioning every piece. Your silent protection becoming an unspoken dialogue between your faith and the universe itself. Behind the scenes, far beyond the reach of human perception, spiritual frameworks are shifting to support your ascent. It is as though ancient covenants have been activated on your behalf, triggering a cascade of favorable encounters and sealed blessings. While your detractors believed they were tightening the noose of criticism, divine architects were loosening the bonds of limitation. Synchronicities you once overlooked are now gleaming signposts, guiding you along a highway of grace. Encounters with mentors, unexpected windfalls, or even the sudden easing of a chronic burden are not mere luck. They are divine interventions calibrated to elevate you into your appointed calling. This alignment between faith and manifestation confirms that your journey has never been a solitary struggle, but a sacred unfolding designed to showcase a purpose far greater than any human plan. Yet now comes a pivotal moment. You must move from observer to participant in this divine drama. It is one thing to witness unexplained favor wash over you, but quite another to own your place within the narrative. Many resist this full embrace out of fear of being too visible, fear of the responsibility that comes with blessing, fear of the unknown terrain that lies ahead. They cling to the familiarity of hardship, mistaking the past for safety, and unconsciously sabotage their breakthroughs. But true alignment demands that you step boldly into the promise written for you. Release the hesitation that whispers, "What if I fail?" and replace it with the affirmation, "I am chosen." Feel the power of your own purpose course through your veins, ready to animate every decision, word, and action. This is your sacred invitation to embody the protection and purpose that have sustained you all along. Now, arise and claim the life that has been waiting patiently for your faith to activate it. Let go of the chains of doubt and the scripts written by those who never saw your potential. Declare with conviction that you will no longer shrink to accommodate their disbelief, but will expand to fulfill your divine commission. Cultivate daily practices that reinforce your newfound authority. Speak affirmations that anchor you in truth. Immerse yourself in communities that reflect your vision, and steward the talents entrusted to you with joyful diligence. Trust the inner nudges that guide you when conventional wisdom fails, and invest your energy in pursuits that resonate with the frequency of your destiny. As you do so, you step into a flow where your silent protection is not just experienced in crisis but celebrated in every harvest season to come. Their arrogance crafted your battlefield, but divine grace furnished your victory. As you move through this world, remember that your journey is a living testament to a power that remains unseen yet unwavering. The silent protection that has carried you thus far will continue to guard your steps, amplify your voice, and magnify your light. No longer a hidden gem, you now stand in full radiance, a beacon for others who have been mocked, misunderstood, or marginalized. Celebrate your triumphs quietly but confidently, knowing that every triumph is a note in the grand symphony of purpose that outshines the din of doubt. Your presence itself becomes the quietest form of retaliation, the proof that divine protection always prevails over human pride. Comment protected if this resonates with the fortress of favor surrounding you. And to every soul who's supported with a super thanks, thank you. You are keeping this light alive for others who haven't found it yet. If you feel called to help this mission reach more chosen ones, tap the super thanks button below. Your energy supports these messages and helps them travel further. Your voice matters, your belief matters, and your light is felt here. Self-destruction through arrogance. They've strutted around confident that your quiet perseverance was fear, convinced that their swagger and sharp words would erode your faith. But arrogance breeds its own ruin, and every mocking glance, every sneer-laden comment, planted the seeds of their self-destruction. In their blind pride, they believed themselves architects of your downfall, never realizing they were building the scaffold on which they would hang their own reputation. When they saw your continued resilience, they lashed out harder, not knowing that each barbed insult was carving a deeper pit beneath their own feet. Their world, once sturdy beneath their arrogant feet, began to tilt. And just as the Bible tells of Nebuchadnezzar, who exalted himself and was humbled by my hand, living like an animal until he acknowledged my sovereignty, Daniel 4 verses 30 to 33, so they will discover that the proud fall when the foundations of their pride collapse. Comment self-destruction if you've witnessed such downward spirals, and prepare, for next you will see how divine balance restores what arrogance sought to destroy. In your own life, you felt the weight of someone's contempt. Maybe it was a boss who took credit for your work, a friend who scoffed at your dreams, or a family member who dismissed your call to a higher purpose as naivete. When they raised their voice, you recoiled internally, wondering if you were truly unworthy of respect. Their arrogance cut deeper than any open attack because it came from those you once trusted. You spent nights replaying their words, your heart heavy with confusion. Why do they mock what they cannot prevent? Slowly, you realized their contempt reflected more on them than on you. Yet, in that realization was a turning point. The recognition that their arrogance was as much a prison for them as it was intended to be for you. Their self-importance had warped their perspective, blinding them to the reality of your calling, and setting the stage for a collapse that would echo far beyond your personal sphere. That collapse did not come by accident, but as part of a divine design woven through your journey. What seemed like bitter encounters and needless conflicts were in truth divine stress tests, spiritual derivations intended to refine your character even as they exposed the rot in their pride. Consider the story of King Uzziah, who, after a lifetime of accomplishments, presumption led him to unlawfully burn incense in the temple precincts and receive leprosy as a direct consequence. 2 Chronicles 26 verses 16 to 21. His downfall wasn't a random act of vengeance but a necessary correction that reminded him, and all who watched, that no one stands above sacred order. In the same way, arrogance directed at a chosen one triggers a corrective arc. It is not your role to mete out justice. Rather, cosmic law rebalances itself, repurposing the weapon of their scorn into an instrument of their undoing. As you watch their downfall unfold, take note of the subtle markers of transformation around you. Their influence begins to wane not with one thunderous blow but through a series of quiet reversals. Projects they had banked on suddenly stall, alliances they counted on dissolve without explanation, reputations they once polished crack under scrutiny. You may observe that their carefully constructed image of invincibility fractures when examined in the light of truth. Old misdeeds surface, inconsistencies become glaring, and allies drift away, unwilling to be associated with a sinking ship. Meanwhile, your own path remains steady, even as chaos swirls around you. This contrast is no coincidence. It is the materialization of divine timing, aligning every situation to vindicate you and expose those who overreach their station. Divine precision doesn't require noise. It needs only perfect timing to turn their arrogance into their own downfall. Behind these visible shifts, unseen spiritual forces are hard at work clearing your road. While the world sees only human drama, the spiritual realm operates on principles beyond human calculation. Every time they conspired to undermine you, ancient covenants activated defenses in your favor. Contracts written in the foundations of creation recognizing your anointing and sealing you with unassailable protection. At the same time, their arrogance triggered hidden spiritual mechanisms of accountability, like a cosmic mirror reflecting their pride back upon them in ever-increasing intensity. Synchronicities align to topple their schemes. A chance conversation derails their plot. An unexpected resource appears at the crucial moment. A sudden clarity guides you around their snares. This is not luck, but the manifestation of faith meeting divine promise, showing that your journey has always been supported by forces that operate in the shadows yet govern the light. Now, you stand at a crossroads of choice. You've seen how arrogance can dismantle itself, how pride built basements it could never escape. You recognize the signs of this cosmic retribution. But to fully step into your divine inheritance, you must embrace the completion of this process. Resist the temptation to gloat or to wield this downfall as a weapon of your own. Such actions only risk entangling you in the same patterns you've transcended. Instead, receive the full weight of this moment as confirmation that you are under a higher jurisdiction, one that honors integrity and dismantles corruption. Accept that this is your moment of alignment, the point where you consciously step into being a vindicated witness rather than a participant in petty revenge. It is time to let the universe's justice speak for itself. As you embrace this realization, empower yourself with the next steps on your journey. Release the last grains of resentment you harbor, not because your adversaries deserve mercy, but because your peace demands it. Channel the energy once spent on frustration into constructive creation. Invest in your vision, cultivate the relationships that support your growth, and dedicate your talents to purposes that extend far beyond personal vindication. Develop spiritual disciplines that reinforce your alignment. Regular reflection to attune to divine guidance, gratitude practices to maintain clarity of purpose, and acts of service that amplify the light you carry. Trust that as you embody this higher way, you become an even stronger vessel for the unfolding of divine justice and blessing. Their arrogance signaled the beginning of their own unraveling, and your steadfast faith signaled the beginning of your triumph. You are now more than a survivor of their schemes. You are a living testament to a power that never falters. Let the world bear witness to how silent justice eclipses the loudest insults, how quiet faith dismantles the most forceful pride. Your journey from targeted humility to vindicated authority exemplifies the divine order at work, an order that neither boasts nor demands applause but nevertheless reshapes destinies. Comment victory if you stand in the wake of arrogance's collapse, confident that divine protection remains unshaken. Spiritual laws beyond understanding. They've whispered behind your back, cast doubt on your dreams, and laughed when your voice remained calm. You felt the sting of their cynicism as if it were a physical blow, watching them mistake your silence for submission. In those moments, you questioned whether the universe even saw you, that perhaps your worth was as invisible as the air. I see you. I know that sense of isolation, the frustration that builds when you reach for hope and find only mocking echoes. But understand this, the uproar of human scorn is powerless against the ancient decrees that govern the cosmos. There are spiritual statutes written before time itself, and when they are activated, not even the heavens can ignore them. You are not adrift in a sea of random events. You stand at the center of a divine choreography. Prepare your heart, for in the next moments you will glimpse the machinery of justice moving in perfect silence. Remember the nights when their words felt like arrows, and you wondered if your faith was enough to catch every barb? You wrestled with the ache of rejection, replaying every insult as if it defined you. Perhaps it was a friend's betrayal, a colleague's dismissal, or a family member's condescending smile that cut deepest. In those moments, you searched for meaning, why you, of all people, must bear the weight of such contempt. You felt small, wondering if your purpose was real or just a comforting myth. Yet every time your heart trembled, you chose resilience. Even when tears fell, you refused to curse your path. That inner fight, your refusal to give their arrogance the power to break you, set the stage for spiritual laws to move on your behalf. This was never a random trial. It was a divine calibration shaping you into a vessel capable of holding unimaginable grace. Recall the ancient law found in Psalm 105 verse 15. Do not touch my anointed ones. Do my prophets no harm. While you may not bear the explicit title of prophet, the principle stands. Attacking your spirit violates a sacred covenant. Consider the little-known story of Jehoiada the priest, who orchestrated a hidden coup to restore rightful leadership in Judah, 2 Kings 11. His quiet strategy emerged from divine guidance, unseen until the moment of revelation. In the same way, your endurance in the shadows is part of a preparation that will surface in a way they cannot ignore. Your calm perseverance is the trigger that summoned these timeless protections. Now, begin to notice the subtle shifts rippling through your world. Perhaps a conversation veers away from conflict before it escalates, or an opportunity appears as if delivered by invisible hands. You might find that obstacles dissolve just as you're about to give up. Contracts come through, conversations resolve, and alliances form unexpectedly. It's as if reality bends to a higher frequency, aligning people and circumstances to reflect your integrity. Where once you felt every door slammed, now threshold after threshold swings open, revealing corridors of possibility. These are not coincidences but the gentle signs of divine timing, each one a whisper that the universe is conspiring in your favor. Pay attention, for these are the unmistakable footprints of spiritual laws at work. Behind the scenes, unseen forces are dismantling the snares laid by arrogance and scorn. Every plan they hatched in shadows is exposed to light. Every network they built on deceit unravels from within. Synchronicities, those chance meetings and uncanny connections, are orchestrated to guide you, to bring the right mentor, the perfect resource, or the timing that shifts the entire game. In the same way that the obscure reference in Ecclesiastes 3 verse 11 tells us that God has made everything beautiful in its time, you are witnessing the unfolding of that beauty. The divine doesn't need trumpets or banners. A quiet nudge here, a serendipitous twist there, and the path becomes unmistakable. Your calling requires no grand display, just steadfast faith and a willingness to walk where you are led. Now that you see these transformations, the moment of decision arrives. Will you embrace the fullness of this shift or retreat in fear of the unknown? Many resist, clinging to familiar patterns even when those patterns led to pain. Yet true alignment demands more than acknowledgement. It calls for surrender. Let go of the stories that bound you. Release the need to justify your journey and embody the tranquility you've cultivated. This is your sacred moment, a portal in time where stepping forward in faith solidifies your place within the tapestry of divine purpose. Hesitation here is the only barrier between you and the destiny you were born to fulfill. With this realization, stand tall in your newfound authority. Breathe deeply and claim your space, knowing that your presence carries both a shield and a light. Release the lingering doubts and cast aside remnants of fear, for they are relics of a past that no longer defines you. Nurture your connection to the divine through prayer, meditation, or whatever practice resonates with your soul, and let that communion strengthen your resolve. Reach out to those who support you, share your experiences, and allow the collective energy of kindred spirits to bolster your path. Trust the guidance that flows through you. It is more reliable than any worldly counsel. Move forward confidently, for you are not just a spectator. You are a co-creator in a divine narrative far greater than you imagined. Exposure and vindication without retaliation. They watched as you held your tongue, convinced that your silence was a sign of defeat. You felt the weight of their stares, the echo of their whispered judgments, and wondered if the world would ever see the truth behind their facade. In those moments, you questioned whether justice would ever arrive, whether the lies woven around your name would dissolve or follow you endlessly. You're not alone in this uncertainty. Many of us have endured the sting of false narratives, the frustration of watching our integrity misrepresented while the perpetrators laughed in the wings. But the universe is not blind to your pain. In the stillness of divine timing, the very forces that bound you in silence are now poised to break the chains of deception. Your path is secured by forces beyond sight, and your unfolding story affirms that silence paired with divine alignment is a more potent weapon than any human retaliation. Subscribe if you haven't yet, like this video, and comment "I am chosen" to let this message anchor in your soul. Share it with someone who needs to hear this. Thank you to all supporting members, and for full prophetic revelations daily, join the membership via the link in the description. Your spiritual path deserves more than fragments. Step into the full light. And if this message moved you deeply, consider tapping the Super Thanks button to support the mission. Every Super Thanks fuels the light we're spreading together. Remember, they thought they won, yet you held the power all along.